You're listening to the Homeownership podcast by Momentum Realty, real estate talk for buying, selling, and owning property.
Hey guys, Sean Patrick Maloney here, broker owner of Momentum Realty, located in Hanover, Massachusetts. Welcome to episode 57, What to and Not to Do at an Open House. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. Let's talk about open house etiquette. Let's talk about what you should do and what you shouldn't do at an open house. I'm going to open it right up with a very, very important one to go over, bathroom etiquette. So, as an open house host, often people come and some of the first things they ask me is, can they use the bathroom? Which is surprising that you would rush to my open house to use my bathroom versus stopping at a restroom en route. Now, I understand sometimes we may be late for something and there's a rush, but I think it just comes down to thinking about being an adult and just what etiquette is. So then when it comes down to that you're actually there and, situation arises. First off, I can go with the word number one. That's about it. You shouldn't be asking about other things unless literally it is a medical emergency and it's either there or the floor. Well, then you need to ask. But otherwise, you need to excuse yourself and go take care of business, even if you need to set up a private showing or something. But the bathroom isn't there to be used. It is there to be looked at. So just wanted to go over that one first off. So then let's talk about them. I'm going to go over a bunch of different questions and just kind of answers and just give you a general idea of what's a good thing to think of and not. So first is signing in. When people walk in the door, you're immediately hit by a real estate agent and asked to sign in. People freak out about this, but let's think about it. You're in the real world, you're an adult now, and you're out there roaming around the world, and you're telling your children not to meet with random people. But then you want to go into a private residence with somebody and not tell them who you are. You should sign in. There's nothing wrong with signing in. There's nothing wrong with putting your contact information there. If you ask the agent to stop contacting you, they'll stop contacting you. Or if you write right next to your name, please do not contact me, that also works. But understanding that they need to know who went in the home for safety reasons and understanding they need to know who went in the home to let the owner know who went in is important. The other thing I want to point out here is if you really like the house, you really want your name and contact number on the list, because if there's a situation where multiple offers arise, you're going to be on the phone call list to know that that multiple offer happened. If you didn't sign in or your real estate agent didn't leave a card, how will they know to reach out to you? So that means that if you're just withholding the information because you don't want to be bothered by the agent, you also might miss out on this multiple offer type situation. Or also, the better yet, the one where you find out later on that they went through a price change. So just keep in mind that not always is this sign-in sheet just this evil thing. It sometimes is working towards your benefit. And then just stand up for yourself and say, leave me alone if the agent calls you too often. So then let's talk about who the agent is for. A lot of times we go to an open house and we show up and there's this friendly person ready to sell us the home and ready to write us an offer. Well, who do they work for? Depending on the sign they have, which they should have clearly displayed, it'll tell you who they actually work for. You can also ask the agent. Sometimes they're there as a list agent, sometimes they're there as a buyer's agent. So what does that mean? Sometimes they actually work for the seller. So most often the name on the sign out front is the agent that actually is working for the seller to find them a buyer or to find an agent with a buyer. So what this means is the second half to the equation, which is the buyer's agent. That's the person who brings the buyer in who wants to buy the home. So the buyer agent and the seller's agent connect them together and they make the transaction happen. When the buyer agent becomes a seller agent, meaning someone walks in the door and they are representing the seller and then the person wants to buy the house, the agent says, okay, I can write an offer for you. They become what's called a dual agent, at which point you lose a lot of your agency agreement with them. They still have a lot of the same duties of certain things like confidentiality and things, but a lot of the reasons that you hire an agent are lost when you go to a dual agent situation. So you should get your own representation. So when you walk in and they're for a buyer's agent and they're working for you, well, it's up to you whether you like them or not and you want to work with them. That's a question that you can have to yourself, but the big question is, do you really want to work with a seller's agent? And naturally, sometimes it does work out the equation. But if you're looking for an agent, you can certainly reach out to us over here at Momentum Realty, and we'd be happy to hook you up with one of our agents that'll help you out and make sure you get your proper representation. It's just a matter of question of what works best for you. Every single way leads to the same thing, but some of them afford you more opportunity and also some more guidance through the actual transaction. So now, next, let's talk about what you should look for. A lot of times people come in and they basically just go for a walk through the house and have a conversation with their loved one and point out things they don't like about the way that the other person lives. They're like, look at that. That's crazy. I can't believe they put their table there. Why would they have a light there? How come they painted it that color? Geez, look at how big their kids are in that photo. That's crazy. I can't believe you caught that fish that's on the wall. All the different comments that come out, none of them have anything to do with the house. They're all just things about like, this person lives weird. Oh my God, I can't believe their cat smells like this. All the different things we hear, and it's like, are you looking at the house or are you looking at the life within the house? So what you want to look at is the house. If you have a smell, for a smell, you want to look around. Do you have lots of carpets? If you have lots of carpets and you have the ability to do so, maybe it's changing the floors out and you change the smell. So looking at a house more for what it is versus what's going on with it currently. When you're looking at the walls, it's not what color are they, it's what color could they be. When you're looking at the different things, it's not what appliances are here, what appliances would I put here. Maybe you need to look at it for what it is, and you do have to keep certain things, so you do want to look on that level, but you want to notice those things more than the why is the couch here and everything like that. Things you want to take a look at the heating system, take a look at any of the different systems, if there's air conditioners around, if there is a water heater. And I know you're not an expert at everything, but just taking a general look and seeing, are they rusted, are they in poor condition? You can ask the agent on duty if they know the age of something. You can just check in with those. But overall, just make sure you look at the house for what it is. Look for it. Look if, say, like, okay, would I be able to have the entertainment that I wanted? Do I have the outside space I need? Again, just overlook the way that it's currently being used and look at what it could be used in the future for. How could it be adapted to your lifestyle? Now let's talk about an important question that comes up often. Should I write an offer there and then? That's up to you. But I can tell you, no one ever is mad that they wrote an offer before as much as they're mad when they didn't write an offer and something gets accepted. Currently, right now, it seems like mostly best practice seems to be that if they get offers, they hold it till Monday. But I can tell you, I've seen plenty of offers where a situation comes in and a person offers so good of a price that the other person's like, I'd be crazy to stay on the market, and they just jump off. And you don't know why they jumped off, but then you see it close a few months later or a month later, and you see that they got 30 grand over asking and stuff. So when it comes to should I write an offer right there and then, the only failure is failure to commit. So the reality of writing it then and later, there's a lot of strategies to when writing an offer. And if it's a multiple offer situation, if there's a deadline, do you hold off? We can go over those different time. But in reality of whether I should or shouldn't write an offer, remember you want your representation. You want your own agent if you decide that's the best route versus dual agent for you and that type of stuff. But there's no reason to hold an offer to think that I'm going to just put it in later. You can make it known that this is my firm and best, and there are risks to shopping offers later. But again, I would never say to hold off an offer. So as far as when, I think the time is now when the time is now. Like if you like a place, there is no reason that you should let it go, especially right now coming into the 2020 market. We are seeing houses fly off the shelves as quick as they're on the market, they're gone. So to be the person who misses the offer, maybe that offer costs you a little more money because you put a little bit more on it than asking price. But what it comes down to is if you waited longer, it was going to cost you more money because houses aren't getting any cheaper right now. So based on that, and I was saying write an offer, talking about who the agent is for, one of the other important ones is, should I bring my agent? So most of the time, agents will give you cards, their business card, to drop when you go into an open house. You don't got to sign in, and so that the agent just has the information to reach out to them. That's always a good idea. You also want to mention when you walk into an open house, I have an agent. You don't necessarily have to bring your agent every time, but I would respect your agent's duty to you and also have your agent respect you. If it's a very serious house and you go by there and you want them to come by, you should definitely do that, probably ahead of offer. If you're in a super rush and they just have to meet you and then you have to put in an offer, sometimes the situation dictates that just because of the timelines of things that are going so fast right now. But needing to bring them is not a must. It's just that respect them by letting them know what you see and don't like, letting them know those things, because when you're with them as an agent on the showings, we get a lot of feedback, live action. We hear you talking and what you're saying and what you're doing, which helps us help you better, because ultimately, a lot of people think real estate agents can be overpaid and things, but the reality is a lot of times they're underutilized as far as, I don't want to hassle them on a Sunday or whatever. Well, our job is a weekend job, so that is what it is. We work those times. So You don't have to feel like a hassle. Of course, you can try to align with whatever works best for your personal schedules, but bringing your agent, I would say if I had the choice, I would definitely have my agent with me when possible, as long as it's a really good candidate. If it's a maybe, I do at least a drive-by and then call my agent. If it's a possibly, then I just go to the open house and call them and say, hey, I liked it or didn't like it, but just kind of rate it based on that. Or again, if it's an urgent situation, it's a house you love, they can't make it, just go. Bring the card and just then set a private appointment if you really like it. Then the next one, this is funny because a lot of people come in and they kind of like are timid to talk to you, the agent, or ask any questions because they feel like they might look dumb. Ask questions. Any questions, and every question you have. The more questions you ask, the more the agent can help you understand the property. We understand that every home is different, and we understand that every house has its little quirks and nuances that you actually need to know. So by asking the questions, even if we, the agent, don't know, we can reach out to the proper professional or the homeowner and find out, versus you rolling it out in your head. Because I find a lot of times when people answer questions to themselves they don't know the answer to, they kind of pick worst case scenarios so that way they don't get burnt. So sometimes people see a pump and think that it's a big deal, and they think it's a sump pump, and it could be that there's a basement level bathroom and it is an evacuation pump for the basement level bathroom. So when you look at these things, you got to realize you should ask those questions so that way you don't rule things out that wouldn't naturally be ruled out, as well as ask questions so you can learn. This is a process where you're about to buy a home, so learning in the entire process is going to help out in overall home ownership. Let's talk about pictures. So cell phones, camera phones, everything like that, they are a big nuisance for a lot of businesses. A lot of different industries have a lot of trouble with them. Places where people shouldn't be taking photos, they're putting photos up and they're putting them on the internet pretty much everywhere. So basically what it comes down to is you need to ask the agent, number one, don't be taking pictures without asking. And then they have already asked their client whether it's okay through their listing agreement to take pictures. And that said, when they say yes to you can take pictures, they mean you can take pictures and you can go show your Uncle Harry, hey, I'm thinking about buying this house. It doesn't mean you can go onto Facebook and post a bunch of pictures and say like, can you believe this person would paint their bathroom so ugly? # Weymouth, Massachusetts. Well, guess what? When you do these types of things, people see them and you hurt people's feelings. And in an adult world, it's completely inappropriate to public shame people. The reality is, be careful with that stuff. Like I said, ask the agent who's already asked their client, and if they say yes, understand they mean yes, you can put them up in a fashion where you are getting them over to the people that need them. As a real estate agent, do I put pictures of people's houses up? Yes, but I'm always thinking about what I'm putting up, and I'm always depicting their house in a positive manner. I'm never putting up pictures making fun of somebody's house. And if I ever was to even put any pictures up of somebody's house, I'd try to make it, unless it's a listing that I'm selling, I would try to make it as hard as possible to identify where that house is and how that house is. So just keep that in mind when you're at people's houses and just respect what they want. So when to start looking? I would say as soon as you are ready to think about buying a house, it's time to look. I know a lot of people wait till they're actually ready to buy to look, but learning pricing is really important. Getting out there, going through the motions, and then realizing like after your third or fourth one, you're not going to be as nervous anymore. So you're going to start relaxing a little bit. So learning to do the process early is never a bad thing. I would start looking early and I'd look at everything. So what to look at money-wise, I'd look at above and below your marketplace depending on how high, but I'd say probably 10 to 15% above and below is okay to look at. That way there you get a better understanding of the market, what your value actually is, and you can compare it to other things. So I think that's something where a lot of people don't do. They look at only what they're going to buy. Look at what you don't like, look at what you do like. Use open houses as a place to look at things you don't like. Do not schedule showings to look at things you don't like, because that's unfair. You're actually asking people to take up their time to allow you to gawk at something you don't like. But an open house is a great time to drive over and see the weird house that you saw on Zillow and you want to see more of the inside. Go do it, because you're going to learn about real estate. You're going to learn about it. You're going to get more calm during the entire equation of being at open houses, and you're going to become a better buyer. So if you're looking for a place where you can go to find open house lists, and there's a lot of different places on the internet and resources. One of the great things about real estate websites in general when they're brokerage websites is we tend not to share information that is not on the market, whereas the big dogs like Zillow and others that we like playing with, they tend to show houses that aren't actually available. So if you run over to our website, which is movementumrealty.com, you go on to the top, and on the header bar, you click on the buy link and you slide down and you find the open house list. There you can find all the open houses in Massachusetts. So I put that out there as just a little list so people could find an easier way to find the open houses coming up. The other thing you can do is you can get involved with an agent. So if you're looking for an agent to help you and you want to get moving forward and you want to get working and you want better understanding of the whole process, not just the open houses, feel free to reach out to us over here at Movementum Realty and we can connect you with one of our Move Mentors. Thank you so much for listening this week. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to PM me, DM me, whatever works best for you. Thanks for listening this week, and I'll talk to you next week.